Your Worship, Council, staff, and people of Summerlin, thank you very much for the opportunity for us to present this project. My name is Kirk Fisher, and I reside at 3866 Devonshire Drive in Surrey, BC. I'm a Senior VP of the Lark Group.
And my name is Malik Tawashi. I am a Development Project Manager with the Lark Group, and I reside at 662 Lambert Crescent, BC.
So we represent the developer of the project, that is the Lark Group and St. Elizabeth. So the Lark Group is a 44-year-old family development and construction company that has been developing, building, and managing in the province of BC. We have built 18 similar facilities and have put up over 3,500 care beds or seniors beds or all different levels of care. St. Elizabeth is a 108-year-old charity. It's known as Canada's largest social enterprise. They have 8,000 employees, and they currently operate a large home care business, a small care business, and a large care business within hospitals. 10% of the profits of the whole project will go to the charity, and 100% of the profits from the care operations of the business go to the charity. We just wanted to point that out. So we could turn over to the first slide. Oh, I have the buttons for that. So,
It'll be like a hard copy of the...
yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
While we're doing that, we'd like to thank Gunther and Hans and Gary here, who are the vendors of the property that actually had the foresight of this property. They were the ones that originally planned the concept of this being a seniors community and brought it forward to various developers to see. And Gary is here tonight if there's any questions of the vendor. Ian has already presented this plan basically, but we just wanted to start with this plan to speak to the fact that we are outside any of the red zones, any environmental zones, and in a hollow or a valley such that we do not affect views from the bulk of the people of the city. Also, we wanted to point out that the location is such that a bus would be provided for the people that live there. There's substantial parking provided in the facility, but our experience has been a lot of the seniors will, and people that accommodate and live in the facility, will park their cars and not drive them very often. There will be a number of amenities, and we'll get to that soon, within the facility itself. So the seniors and people that live here, all ages potentially, will use exactly what exists there and travel to the wonderful city when they have family members visit them. There was some concern about whether the project would be successful in some aspect being that location. We'd like to say that the charity is leasing the care portion on a 20-year lease. And so they're a substantial business and they will be there for a 20-year lease. So in regards to if it's going to be successful, they fully believe it is to be there for 20 years. We have the site plan. Again, Ian's presented these great plans, and his team, I can tell you, has been very thorough. We have been working on this project for 10 months. We have tried to answer and believe we've answered every question they've had about to make sure the engineering is up to speed. I am a civil engineer. We have reviewed all of the aspects, and we believe anything that we obviously touch, we have to pay for, and we have to improve, and as well the amenities that your city has negotiated that we provide. We'd also like to point out that we've been very fortunate to be able to tie up the wonderful Crawford property, and by doing that we believe we can improve the sight lines of the road in the area in general and the entrances and the area of entrance egress to the project along Latimer. The next thing we wanted to just point out was the amenities. And they're tough to see from this far away, but there's obviously a central amenity space, jumping wherever. There's swimming pool, there's amphitheater, there's a lounge, there's, of course, a wonderful shade and cover. There's a wellness area, there's a pickleball areas, and I'd like to speak to wellness just for a moment. The Lark Group, we are a developer on Innovation Boulevard at the City of Surrey. We've been fortunate enough to partner with Dr. Ryan Darcy, a leading neuroscientist, Canadian neuroscientist. He's created the concept of brain vital signs, and in our care facilities we bring a huge content in regards to innovation for seniors. We have a portable neurostimulation product that we're working with that assists people with CP, dementia. We're very close to having FDA approval of that product. Also, St. Elizabeth, they have their own telehealth program. So there was also a concern about doctors in the area. They've had very good experience with nurse practitioners and doctors within their telehealth program to improve the level of care wherever they go. And they also have their own university. So they have a university that provides training for their team. They also invest in innovation substantially, and as a social enterprise, all of their profit that they make go back to the communities they operate in and the technology that they do to improve the lives of seniors every day. There's a number of, obviously, we were able to get quite a long flat path in regards to people being able to walk. It'll have obviously a nice amount of rest areas as it zooms along, and it'll be interwoven with the remaining vineyard area. And because it follows a contour line, it'll be extremely flat, which is nice. It actually walks through one of the building, so you walk by the restaurant area, you walk by a lobby, you go out and around all of the buildings and come back. There's a number of areas where you can tie in, and where you tie in there actually are stairs, if you could imagine, because you step down too. So it's not wheelchair accessible down to some of the areas, but it's wheelchair accessible all the way around, and each area has wheelchair access. I'm not saying it isn't, I'm just saying from the path there isn't wheelchair access to every different aspect. I think Ian also touched on the economic impacts. We wanted to speak to the fact it is a $100 million capital investment. Please keep in mind that this could be over 5 years, could be over 3 years, could be over 7 years, depending on how long the sales take. So the first phase that will start is about 130 units that is leased by St. Elizabeth, and that is independent living, assisted living, potentially complex care, potentially memory care. That project will commence. The other phases, which are 3 different phases, will only commence as pre-sales happen. So as people want to move to the community, or as people want to downsize in the community, then phases will commence. That ensures the product is sustainable over a longer period of time. Of course, there's 200 to 300 local construction and engineering jobs over the 3 years. We have used all local consultants to date. We are our own construction company. When we come to communities like this, we make sure we use a local team. We recently were successful in Newfoundland, and for a similar care facility type of project, and we had partnered with all local people. I'm not saying necessarily they will come from Summerland. I'm sure you guys know there's not a huge construction content here, but from the interior there is a huge construction content. The next thing is there's 75 to 100 full-time equivalent permanent jobs upon completion. And that's quite an estimate at this time, because the final phase could be further care, could be further independent living, could be further market housing, depending on what proceeds as the most successful. That represents $2.75 to $4 million in jobs after completion. We wanted to point out again, there was some issue or concern about whether there was any costs to the City of Summerland. All costs for the project infrastructure are of course paid by us as the developer, and there are substantial DCCs paid by the developer, and also there's over $1 million in infrastructure upgrades. There's an estimated $375,000 to $500,000 of annual property tax revenue, again depending on which use is done in that final phase. So I think we wanted to speak about the concept of Summerland in general. So I'm sure everybody knows here that you guys were chosen the top 5 in all of BC for seniors to reside in. As the wonderful constable presented, he plans to retire here. So you're top 5 in the province in regards to who wants to move here. We've seen that in our other experience. We worked in Parksville, and we developed a similar project in Parksville. We worked in small communities in Victoria and developed a similar project, and those locations also had a significant demand of people wanting to move to those areas. So this project provides the ability for Summerland people to retire and age in place, for new families to come potentially, and of course for people from outside of different provinces to be here. We wanted to speak to also The geotechnical testing, as Ian has pointed out, all of the tests have already been completed to date to this stage. They've all passed. There's been no area of concern in regards to the stage that we are at now. And we'd also, at that point, like to say we've already held one public information meeting. We'd be proud to hold a second public information meeting. As we said, in our 18 other communities that have been approved, there's always been some concern from residents, and usually after we've been able to get more information out, the concerns have been alleviated. I'm not saying we'll accomplish that, but our goal will be to accomplish that. Our goal will be to talk with everybody that's there. On our last public information meeting, continued on for 2.5, 3 hours, and it was great. There was great input. We used that input to shape the project. There still is absolute time to shape the project from the next public information meeting that we had if we're able to move forward, which obviously happens before public hearing and before other steps. And so we're used to that process. We're excited about that process because quite often it's just a lack of information that people are more scared about than anything. So we'd like to bring that information forward. When we spoke about market housing, independent living, and memory care suites, we wanted to speak about that age-in-place concept, that aspect of this being an absolutely fantastic setting for people to live in. We obviously do a lot of work before we pick a location because it's expensive to start down a path. We've had a Feng Shui review of the site, as an example. Presents very great Feng Shui for the people that will be living in the facility. We've had St. Elizabeth, their CEO and Senior Business Development Manager, has actually flown from Ontario and toured on a 2-day trip the project and the site, and we're very much in support of the project, which was quite wonderful. And again, they're, of course, signing into a 20-year lease of the project. Social and logistical. So we've spoken already about the amenities. The pickleball aspects, the health and wellness, the amphitheater, everything that's within the facility is such that the people that live in the facility will have a wonderful approach in their life, a wonderful aspect of what they do in their life. There will, as we said, there'll be a private bus, as all of these facilities do need to get to the drugstore or the shopping center or go for a coffee when their parents come or their siblings come, sorry, and that type of stuff. We wanted to point also the forecast of the traffic, because traffic is always a major concern, and our experience has been in our 18 neighborhoods that the traffic of a care facility is obviously far less than the traffic of even a single-family residential development, things like that. And so the traffic has already been tested and been through and looks fine. As we also said, because it's in a very hollow, none of the buildings protrude above the top elevation of the bank, so there's no aspect of anything blocking views. It doesn't stand proud of the bank, which we're quite excited about, the fact that it sits in that hollow. For one thing, it's a great place to collect energy, and it's a great place for people to live, and it doesn't block people from the area. We also are going to do great architecture to have the place blend into the hills and the rolling hills and the fall colors. We were there just recently, and the colors of the trees are fantastic, and the architecture will match those colors and those trees, and it'll have a feel of the area. We think that's an important aspect, A, for the seniors, and A, for the people living in the area. We wanted to just touch quickly again on telehealth. So one concern is, can there be enough doctors in the area to deal with the people moving to the area? So St. Elizabeth, as a 108-year-old charity, is absolutely committed to seniors' health. That's their number one goal. Their actual thing is creating happiness every day, but their number one goal is seniors' health. So their telehealth program, they've recognized in all the communities they have been, there's always a potential lack of GPs in the community. So they've put together a telehealth program such that anybody within their facility can get the care that they need through a telehealth program and get support further as required. And so they provide a better level of care through that. So just in summary, we wanted to point out that we would be pleased to hold a second public information meeting to resolve all questions. 10% of the profits do go to St. Elizabeth, the charity. 100% of the proceeds from the AL and the care facility operations go to the charity. Again, we've developed 18 successful facilities. All engineering aspects and environmental issues have been resolved to date, and we commit to pay all of the costs to resolve them further. No viewer traffic issues. $1 million of community amenities, substantial economic benefits, and we hope Summerlanders have a place to retire and remain in Summerland. Thank you very much for our time here today. And as I said, we have Gary here to answer, and we have our development project manager, Malik, to answer if there's questions.